Hello guys and welcome back to my stream book club time. Like we've been in, look at us we're like halfway there guys. We're like over halfway. The Highly Sensitive Person by Elaine N. Aron, Ph.D. Today we're gonna read probably for a little bit of shorter time today because I have some gaming plans and I kind of want to jump into them sooner than later. Okay. Blue. Oh, yeah. And I showered this morning. My hair's finally dried after, like, not too long. So I'm very impressed with myself. Very impressed. Let's get the reading book stand. Don't forget to get. Oh, where is my pen? Your paper, your notebook. Don't forget there's a whole bunch of YouTube videos that you can watch before this one to catch up and listen to me read the book to you if you do not wish to read it yourself. I know how that goes. I love listening to people read me books. Okay. We left off on page 106, I believe. I think I was going to start reading it, but I think I decided to stop. Yes. Yep. Page 106, where it says, "Don't feel bad if you know what to do, but don't always do it." Oh, actually, I think I technically read that, but we're going to read it again. You know, a little reminder from yesterday. I think we had read through those two paragraphs there, and we were in the case of Paula. But again, I like to just remind myself. We did the true and false was the last thing that we did, which was on page 104. Let's get into it, guys. I fucking love this book so far. It's given me such insight into myself and to others. I kind of wish I had a little hairpin or something right now, but hey, I want to get this done. Okay. Here we go. I feel like I'm reading the Bible in one of these, like the little openers. And a little agua for me. Let's get started. Don't feel bad if you know what to do, but don't always do it. Gretchen Hill, a a psychologist at University of Kansas, questioned shy and non-shy people about what was the appropriate behavior in 25 social situations. She found that shy people knew equally well what was expected of them, but said they were not capable of doing it. She hints that shy people lack self-confidence, the usual inner flaw attributed to us. So, we are told to be more confident, which we can't, of course. So we failed again. But maybe we're sometimes justified in our lack of confidence. With so many experiences of being too aroused to behave appropriately, naturally, some of us expect not to be able to do what we know to be socially correct. I think that simply telling ourselves to be more confident rarely helps. Stick to the twofold approach of this chapter. Work on the over-arousal, appreciate your introverted style. Another reason for not being able to put into practice what you know about social skills is the old patterns from childhood may be taking over and need to be faced. Or some feelings command your attention. One sure sign, you keep saying things like, "I don't know why I did that. I knew better. That just wasn't like me." Or, "After all my efforts, nothing is working." The case of Paula. Paula was definitely born highly sensitive. Her parents had communicated on her shyness from birth. Her shyness. She was always aware of having a greater sensitivity to sound and confusion than her friends. In her 30s, when I interviewed her, she was extremely capable in her profession, which involved organizing major events from behind the scenes. But she stood no chance of advancing because of her terror of public speaking and of people in general, which kept her from managing anything but the smallest team of coworkers. In fact, Paula had organized her life around the few times when her job demanded that she convene staff meetings. For these, she needed to exercise for hours and perform various rituals in order to prepare herself emotionally. Paula had read all the books on overcoming such fears and had used her considerable willpower to fight the feelings. But she realized that her fear was unusual, so she tried some longer, more intense therapy. There she found some reasons for the fear and started working through it. As Paula was growing up, her father was a rage alcoholic. He's now an alcoholic as well. He had al- he had always been a smart man, analytic, helpful with his children's homework. Indeed, he was very involved with all of them and actually a little less cruel to Paula than he was to her brothers. But some of the attention may have been sexual. I feel that. Paula was beginning to discover, and very certainly confusing. At any rate, his rage affected her the most. Paula's mother was very nervous about other people and their opinions and was highly dependent on her iron-willed husband. She was also something of a martyr, building her life around her children. Yet she also disliked everything about raising them. Her explicit horrid stories of childbirth and lack of fondness for babies make it seem like that Paula's first attachment was anything but secure. Later, her mother made Paula her confidant, telling her far more than a child should handle, including a whole catalog of reasons to dislike sex. Indeed, both parents told her all about their feelings for each other, including their sexual intimacy. Oof, I feel that. Given the background, Paula's fear of public speaking was more akin to a basic distrust of other people. She was born sensitive and therefore easily over-aroused. Yes. But she was also insecurely attached as a child, which makes it far harder for a child to face threatening situations with confidence. Indeed, her mother felt and taught a general irrational fear of rather than confidence in people. Rather than confidence in people. Let me say that. Indeed, her mother felt and taught a general irrational fear of rather than confidence in people. Finally, Paula's early attempts to speaking her own mind had been met with rage from her father. Feels. Perhaps a final reason for her fear of speaking in public was that she came to feel she knew too much about her father's possibly incontinuous feelings for her and both of her parents' private lives. Nailed that one. These are not easy issues to resolve, but they can be brought into one's consciousness and worked on with a competent therapist. The voices afraid to speak are finally fear. Specifically, training and social skills might still be needed afterwards, but at that point, they should really work. Damn. That makes me sad because it makes me feel like I need to go back to therapy because it means that like everything I was trying to talk to my therapist about was things that were happening like right then and there in my life, and what I really needed to talk to my therapist about were like my relationships in my past with my parents, because those are things that I definitely am trying to work through on my own, but I think a therapist will know some better things. Basic social advice for HSPs. Here are some suggestions about some situations that often cause HSP's social discomfort. When you just have to chit chat, decide whether you would rather talk or listen. If you want to listen, most people will be glad to talk. Ask a few specific questions, or just ask, so what do you do when you aren't at parties? Or conferences, weddings, concerts, etc. If you want to talk, which puts you in a control and keeps you from being bored, plan ahead to plant the topics you enjoy and go on and on about it. Like, bad weather, isn't it? At least it makes it easier to stay in and work on my writing project. Of course, the other person will ask you what you are writing, or bad weather, I couldn't train today, or bad weather, my snakes hate it. Remembering names. You may forget a person's name because you were distracted and over-aroused when you both first met. I literally struggle with names. Like, remembering someone's name is one of the hardest things I do, especially if I can't put a face with it. Like, if someone tells me one of their friends' names, I need to hear it like repetitively for the next month, every single day, probably twice a day, to be able to get there. Like, that's so dumb. Okay, remembering names. You may forget a person's name because you were distracted and over-aroused when you were both first met. If you hear a name, try to make it a habit of using it in your next sentence. I do that. Arnold, how nice to meet you. When using it again within 2 minutes, thinking back afterwards about who you met might make it stick even longer. But trouble with names just goes with the territory. Having to make a request. The small ones, for example, for information, ought to be easy. But sometimes we put them on our list of things to do and they just sit there, seeming big and difficult. If possible, make the request for moments you realize you need to, or make them in a bunch when you are feeling in an outgoing mood. For slightly more important requests, make them small again. Think about how quickly it will be over and how little trouble it will be for the person you ask. For even more important questions, make a list of what you want to cover. Begin with being sure you're talking to the right person of your purpose. For your purpose, making an important request should be rehearsed with someone, having the other person respond to you in every possible way. This does not make it much easier, but you will feel more prepared. Interesting. I'm definitely somebody who I try not to anymore as much because, like, unfortunately, I'll pick like the more negative sides of the possibility of any type of conversation. But I used to rehearse conversations over and over and over again, and what someone might say and what someone might think and what someone might feel, just to kind of feel prepared for like anything and to bring my emotions down so I can be like in the moment. Selling. Frankly, it's not usual HSP career, but even if you do not sell a commercial product, there are many times in life when we want to sell an idea, ourselves for a job, or maybe our creative work. And what if you believe something could truly help a person or the world at large? In its gentlest form, yours probably, selling is simply sharing with others what you know about something. Once they understand what you think is its value, you can let them make up their own minds. When money is to be exchanged, HSPs often feel guilty that they're taking so much or anything at all. And if we feel flawed, what am I really worth anyways? Usually we cannot and should not give ourselves our product away. We need money to continue to make available what we're offering. People understand that, just as you do when you purchase something. That's a hard one. That's something I've been working on since like 2019. Making a complaint. This can be difficult for HSPs, even if it's legitimate, but it is worth practicing. The assertiveness is empowering for those who often feel put down just for being who they are. Boom. Too young, too old, too fat, too dark-skinned, too sensitive. You must be ready, however, for the other's response. Anger is the most arousing emotion for good reasons. It is meant to mobilize us to fight. It is arousing whether it is yours, theirs, or even that of someone you're just observing from a distance. Being in a small group, groups, classes, and communities can be completed business for HSPs, or complicated business for HSPs. We've often picked up on a great deal that others do not notice, but our desires not to add to our arousal level may keep us quiet. Eventually, though, someone will ask what you think. This is an awkward moment, but an important one for the group. Habitually, quiet HSPs often fail to allow for the fact that the silent person gains more and more influence with time. Besides wanting to give you a chance to speak, the group may unconsciously be worried. Are you in the group or not, or out? Are you sitting there judging them? Are you unhappy and about to leave? If you left, they would be left with these fears, which is why quiet members eventually get so much attention. It may be out of politeness too, but the fear is always there as well. If you do not join in with the right enthusiasm, you will receive considerable attention. Then others may well find that their best defense is rejecting you before you reject them. If you do not believe me, try remaining silent in a new group just once, and you'll see it all unfold. Wow, random. I actually watched this unfold recently, actually in Japan, with my partner, who is an extremely quiet person, especially around new people, especially around loud places. We were in a club with loud music that he did not very much like. And afterwards, like, he brought it to my attention, and like I perceived it kind of like how these people are, like I saw within them, like how it made them uncomfortable that he wasn't as dancey as the rest of us were. But you know, I see it from his point of view, how like off-putting that is too, like to have people like kind of lecture you into dancing about like how you're not dancey enough. So given this energy that always goes to the silent one, if you want to be quieter than others, you need to reassure them that you're not rejecting them or planning to leave the group. Tell them you feel part of the group just by listening. Tell them your positive feelings about the group, if you have any. Tell them you'll speak up when you're ready, or ask them to ask you again. You can also decide if you want to explain your sensitivity, but it means you'll have a label that will tend to become self-fulfilling. Public speaking or performing. This is natural for HSPs. Yes, it is. I leave you to think of all the reasons why it is harder for us. First, we often feel we have something important to say that others have missed. When others are grateful for our contribution, we feel rewarded, and the next time is easier. Second, we prepare. In some situations, as we go back to check if we turned off the toaster, we can seem compulsive to people not as determined as ourselves to prevent all unnecessary surprises, like a burned house. But anyone would be a fool not to over-prepare for the extra arousal due to an audience. Having prepared best, we succeed most. Those are two reasons why all the books in shyness can cite so many politicians, performers, and comics who conquered their shyness, so you can too. The key, again, is to prepare. Prepare, prepare. You probably are not afraid to read out loud, so until you feel more comfortable, prepare exactly what you want to say and read it. If doing so is a bit unusual for the situation, explain confidently some good reasons for reading. Then do it with authority. Reading well also requires preparation and practice. Be sure you use emphasis and can meet any time limits so that you can read slowly. Later, you can graduate to notes. In a large group, I always make notes before I raise my hand to speak or ask a question, just in case my mind goes blank when I'm called on. I do the same in any situation that makes me over-aroused, including doctors' offices. Above all, practice as much as possible in front of an audience, replacing as much as possible the performance situation. Oh, wait. Above all, practice as much as possible in front of an audience, replicating as much as possible the performance situation. Using the same room as the same time of day, wear the clothes you'll wear, have the sound system set up, and so forth, so that there will be fewer new elements to the situation. It is the greatest secret to getting the arousal under control. Once you do, you might just enjoy yourself up there. I overcame my fear of public speaking by teaching a good beginning for HSPs. You are giving. You are needed. So your hold on. I can read this word. So your conscientious side takes over. The audience is not expecting entertainment. So anything you can do to make the occasion enjoyable will be gratefully received. And you will find you have real insights once you become bold enough to express them. Students can sometimes be callous, though. I was lucky to begin at a college where quiet politeness and open expressions of gratitude were the norm. If you can establish the same norms, it will help all of you in your classroom. Some of your students are also afraid to speak up. You can all learn together. What if others are watching you? Are they really? Maybe you have created an inner audience that you fear. You can carry such an audience around and project it. Sees it where it is not, or at least is not to the degree you imagine. If others really are watching, can you ask them not to watch? Can you refuse to be watched? Or can you take any pleasure in their watching? Here is the story of my only belly dancing lesson. Learning any physical skill in a group is almost impossible for me, because the over-arousal from being watched wrecks my coordination. I soon fall behind the others and perform even worse. This time, however, I played a new role. I was the lovable and endearing, that part was important, absent-minded woman professor whose head is always in the clouds and has entirely forgotten where she left her body. She has been set down in this hilarious situation to try and learn belly dancing, and everyone enjoys the lesson more by watching her struggle. The result was that I knew they were watching me, but it was all right. They laughed, but I heard it as loving. Any progress I made was given inordinate praise and recognition. For me, it worked. Next time you feel watched, try meeting the stairs and labeling yourself. Okay. Next time you feel watched, try meeting the stairs and labeling yourself for them with something you can enjoy. We poets are never very good with adding, or there's something about being a natural born mechanic that makes it hard to draw pictures that don't look like the inside of a broken engine. Sometimes a situation is awkward by anyone's standards, so you turn red and survive it. It is part of being human. It does not happen that often. Once I was standing in a line at a formal event, and my 3-year-old son accidentally pulled my skirt off. Do you have one to top this? Sharing stories afterwards is about all we can do. Dang, that was good. I loved that. Oh my goodness. Oh, we're getting into a work section. I want to take time in this work section. And it's the end of the chapter too. Okay, I do want to take time in this work section, so we're going to wait till tomorrow. But I do also want to finish up so I can do something else before I go on to enjoying some gaming. So I'm going to end this and we'll jump right back into the next one. For my YouTube followers, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below. What are you guys learning from this book? Have you watched all the other videos, or are you just jumping in right now? And I will see you guys next time.